Imagine a sunrise that doesn't brag as it rises. It doesn't shout, it just transforms the sky. That's the beauty of strength. It doesn't need to announce itself. It simply reveals itself through its impact. Today we speak about a strength that is often misunderstood, a strength that doesn't shout but silences. People often think that strength is noisy, that power must announce itself, that confidence must walk into the room and shake the walls. But if you observe carefully, the deepest rivers flow quietly, and the tallest mountains stand without saying a single word. Real strength does not demand attention. It earns respect. A strong woman understands this secret very early in life. She learns that not every battle deserves her voice, not every argument deserves her energy, and not every misunderstanding deserves her explanation. Sometimes silence is not weakness, it is wisdom choosing peace over pride. When she stays quiet, it is not because she has nothing to say. It is because she has learned the value of her words. She knows that words spoken in anger create wounds, but silence mixed with dignity creates distance from chaos. She does not shout to be heard. Her character makes people listen. Life teaches her many lessons, through disappointment, betrayal, failure, and unfair judgment. At first, she may try to explain herself to everyone. She may try to prove her intentions. But slowly, she realizes something powerful. People who want to understand, you don't need long explanations. And people who don't want to understand, you will never be satisfied, no matter how loudly you speak. So she becomes calm, not cold, not arrogant, but centered. She responds, not reacts. She chooses peace over performance. While the world is busy making noise, she is busy building strength inside her heart. Her silence is not empty. It is full of courage. It is full of self-respect. It is full of boundaries. And this silence does something magical. It unsettles those who expected drama, it confuses those who wanted conflict, and it humbles those who underestimated her. Without raising her voice, she teaches the loudest lesson: I am not weak. I am selective. A strong woman does not waste her energy proving her worth. She invests it in becoming better, kinder, wiser, and unshakable. When she walks away, she does not create a scene. She creates a standard, and one day, people begin to notice. Not because she shouted, but because she changed the room by her presence. Not because she argued, but because she outgrew the argument. So if you are a woman who chooses silence over shouting, calm over chaos, and dignity over drama, do not doubt yourself. You are not losing your voice. You are discovering your power, because storms make noise, but the sky remains silent, and it is the sky that holds everything. Remember this. The world is full of echoes, but very few voices carry depth. Be the depth, be the calm, be the strength that does not shout but silences. We live in a world that applauds loudness, celebrates those who shout the most, and often mistakes volume for strength. But if you pause for a moment and look around, you will see that the most powerful forces rarely make noise. The sun does not announce its rising, yet it changes the world. The river does not demand attention, yet it shapes the mountains. And the strongest women often walk quietly, not because they are timid, but because they have learned that true strength does not need to be displayed. A woman who has discovered her inner power knows that shouting rarely solves anything. She knows that life is full of misunderstandings, criticisms, and people who will try to diminish her light. And in those moments, she does not react impulsively. She does not raise her voice to defend herself. Instead, she listens, she observes, she reflects, and she chooses her actions wisely. Silence becomes her ally, not her limitation. Silence, when it comes from a place of strength, has a voice louder than any shout. It signals patience, resilience, and self-confidence. When others expect a fight, her calmness disarms them. When others seek drama, her dignity leaves them speechless. She understands that energy is precious, and that every word, every action, and every reaction carries weight. Wasting it on noise achieves little. Using it to build, to inspire, and to grow achieves everything. Life does not spare anyone. She faces challenges, setbacks, and disappointments just like everyone else. But the strong woman learns to handle them with grace. She may feel anger, frustration, or sadness, but she does not let these emotions control her. She knows that shouting may make a moment feel satisfying, but it cannot change outcomes. It is her calm, her clarity, and her purposeful response that creates lasting impact. Her strength is quiet, but it is undeniable. It shows in her ability to remain composed when chaos surrounds her. It shows in her patience when others lose theirs. It shows in her capacity to forgive without weakness, to lead without arrogance, and to inspire without seeking applause. People may notice her loud actions, but they never forget her silent power. The beauty of this strength is that it transforms not only her life, but also the lives of those around her. Her silence teaches others respect. Her calm teaches others patience. Her dignity teaches others courage. And her quiet confidence reminds the world that true strength is measured not by the volume of words, but by the depth of character. So if you find yourself shouting to be heard, remember that the most powerful voices are often silent. Choose silence over noise, purpose over reaction, and strength over spectacle. Because a woman who has mastered the art of quiet is not just surviving the world, she is changing it, one calm and thoughtful action at a time. Strength is often misunderstood. The world tells us that to be strong, one must be loud, aggressive, and always ready to prove themselves. But life quietly teaches those who are willing to observe that the deepest strength lies in stillness, patience, and composure. A woman who has discovered her true power does not shout to make herself seen. She does not raise her voice to make others listen. Her strength is quiet, steady, and unwavering. When the storms of life come, she does not react impulsively. She does not let anger or frustration guide her decisions. Instead, she pauses, breathes, and reflects. In her silence, she finds clarity. In her calm, she finds solutions. She understands that shouting may bring temporary relief, but only thoughtful action and measured words bring lasting change. Silence is not her weakness, it is her choice, a conscious decision to respond with wisdom rather than emotion. People often confuse noise with influence. They think that the louder someone is, the more powerful they are. But a strong woman knows the truth. Influence does not come from volume, it comes from presence, integrity, and purpose. When she speaks, it matters. When she acts, it impacts. And when she remains silent, it is because she has already mastered the art of not wasting energy on things that do not deserve it. Her silence becomes her strength, her dignity, and her statement to the world. Through life's challenges, disappointments, betrayals, and moments of unfair judgment, she learns the art of resilience. She learns that not every fight needs to be fought. Not every criticism needs a response. Not every injustice needs a loud protest. Sometimes strength is in walking away calmly, in holding your head high, and in letting your actions quietly speak for themselves. Those who truly understand her will see it. Those who do not are not her concern. Her silence is not emptiness, it is full of courage, self-respect, and wisdom. It teaches patience to those around her, inspires confidence, and commands respect without demanding it. The world may be noisy, filled with chaos and constant demands for attention. But she moves through it like a river carving its path, silent yet unstoppable. A woman who has mastered quiet strength changes the world in ways shouting never could. She sets an example of resilience, teaches the power of composure, and shows that dignity outweighs drama. Her calmness inspires others to pause, reflect, and act with intention. And in that quiet influence, she transforms lives, not through loud proclamations, but through measured actions, integrity, and unwavering faith in herself. So remember, real power does not need to shout. It does not need recognition. It does not need applause. It simply exists quietly, gracefully, and profoundly. And the woman who has discovered this strength becomes an unstoppable force, not by raising her voice, but by silencing doubt, fear, and negativity with the quiet power of her presence. The world often mistakes noise for power. It applauds the loudest voice, the quickest retort, the one who demands attention the most. But real strength is rarely noisy. Real strength is calm. Real strength is quiet. A woman who has discovered her true power knows that she does not need to shout to be heard, to be respected, or to make a difference. Her strength is measured not by the decibels she produces, but by the depth of her character and the clarity of her actions. Life teaches her this lesson slowly, through experiences that test her patience, resilience, and understanding. She learns that shouting may give temporary satisfaction, but it never changes outcomes. She discovers that calmness in the face of adversity creates far more impact than loud protests. She realizes that dignity is not built on arguments, but on composure. And she understands that the world may not always recognize quiet strength immediately, but over time it cannot ignore it. A strong woman does not react impulsively to criticism or conflict. She does not waste her energy trying to convince those who are unwilling to listen. Instead, she chooses her words carefully, acts with purpose, and lets her silence speak louder than any argument ever could. She knows that patience is more powerful than urgency, that reflection is more powerful than impulse, and that action guided by wisdom is more powerful than shouting guided by emotion. Her silence is not emptiness, it is presence. It is thoughtfulness. It is courage. It shows that she does not need to fight for recognition, because she is already certain of her worth. She does not need to dominate conversations, because she understands that influence comes from integrity, not volume. She does not need to prove herself to others, because she knows that self-respect is her foundation, and it cannot be shaken by anyone else. This quiet power has a ripple effect. People notice her strength without realizing it at first. They feel it in her calmness, in the way she carries herself, in the way she responds to challenges. They may try to provoke her, but she remains unmoved. They may misunderstand her, but she continues with dignity, and slowly, without shouting or demanding attention, she inspires others to act with thoughtfulness, courage, and quiet determination. A woman who masters silence transforms not just her own life, but also the lives of those around her. She teaches that strength is not about fighting loudly, but about standing tall in peace. She shows that patience can overcome haste, that kindness can overcome cruelty, and that quiet courage can achieve what shouting never could. Her calmness becomes a guide, her dignity becomes a lesson, and her presence becomes a force that cannot be ignored. So if you ever feel that you must raise your voice to be strong, remember this: true power is quiet, and the strongest women do not shout, they silence. Their silence is not submission. It is a statement. It is a presence. It is a force that changes the world, one calm, thoughtful action at a time. Strength is rarely about raising your voice. The world often confuses noise with power, thinking that the loudest person in the room is the most influential. But if you pause and observe carefully, the truly powerful are often the quiet ones. They do not shout because they do not need to. Their presence, their actions, and their integrity speak far louder than words ever could. A strong woman understands this deeply. She has learned that life is full of distractions, conflicts, and people who thrive on drama, but her energy is too precious to waste on unnecessary noise. She knows that anger, frustration, or the need to prove herself can cloud judgment. When she faces injustice, criticism, or misunderstanding, she does not rush to respond. She does not react impulsively. Instead, she pauses, reflects, and chooses her response with wisdom. This silence is not weakness, it is a deliberate act of courage. It shows restraint, patience, and clarity of thought. And in that silence, she finds her true power. Life teaches her through challenges. She experiences betrayal, failure, disappointment, and moments where the world seems unfair. In the beginning, she may feel like shouting, like expressing her frustration in a storm of words. But slowly, she discovers that shouting may bring temporary relief, but it rarely changes outcomes. Calm, thoughtful action changes everything. Her silence becomes her strength, her shield, and her statement to the world. A strong woman does not seek validation from others. She does not measure her worth by the applause or recognition she receives. She knows that her value lies in her character, her choices, and her actions. When she remains composed in chaos, she teaches others the power of patience. When she acts thoughtfully while others react impulsively, she demonstrates wisdom. When she chooses dignity over drama, she inspires respect without demanding it. Her quiet strength transforms not only her life, but also the lives of those around her. People may not immediately notice it, but over time, her presence leaves a lasting impact. Her calmness brings clarity to confusion. Her courage inspires others to persevere. And her composure reminds everyone that true power is measured by depth, not volume. The world may be loud, chaotic, and full of noise, but she moves through it like a river carving a path quietly, steadily, and with unstoppable purpose. The beauty of this strength is that it requires no announcement, no display, and no dramatics. It is felt, not heard. It is recognized, not demanded. And it is transformative because it comes from a place of integrity, resilience, and self-awareness. A woman who has mastered this art does not shout. She silences doubt, fear, and negativity with the quiet force of her presence. She shows that real strength does not scream for attention. It simply exists, quietly changing the world one thoughtful, deliberate action at a time. Strength is often mistaken for loudness. Many believe that to be powerful, one must raise their voice, make themselves visible, and command attention. But real strength is quiet. Real strength is subtle. It is the kind of strength that does not demand recognition, but naturally earns it. A woman who has discovered her inner power understands that she does not need to shout to make a difference. Her presence, her actions, and her calm resolve speak far louder than words ever could. She knows that life is full of challenges, misunderstandings, and people who try to undermine her. In those moments, she does not react impulsively. She does not let frustration or anger guide her actions. Instead, she chooses silence not as surrender, but as a deliberate, thoughtful response. In her silence, she finds clarity. In her calm, she finds strength. In her measured actions, she finds influence. This is the power that cannot be shaken, the kind that transforms situations rather than escalating them. A strong woman learns through experience. She faces disappointments, betrayals, and moments when the world seems unfair. At first, she may feel the urge to defend herself, to shout and make her point. But over time, she realizes that shouting may momentarily satisfy the ego, but rarely creates meaningful change. Real impact comes from composure, patience, and purposeful action. Her silence becomes her voice. It communicates dignity, resilience, and wisdom without uttering a single word. She does not seek validation from others. She does not measure her worth by applause or recognition. Her value lies in her integrity, her consistency, and her choices. When the world is chaotic, she is calm. When others react impulsively, she responds thoughtfully. When people expect drama, she remains composed. And in doing so, she inspires respect, influence, and trust. Her strength is quiet, yet unmistakable. Her calmness has a ripple effect. It teaches others patience, resilience, and discernment. It reminds people that not every battle needs to be fought, not every word needs to be spoken, and not every moment requires a reaction. The quiet power of her presence guides, uplifts, and inspires without needing to dominate or control. People may not notice her immediately, but over time, they cannot ignore her influence. True strength does not need to announce itself. It does not need to demand attention or validation. It is felt, not heard. It is recognized, not forced. A woman who has mastered this art of quiet strength changes the world not through noise, but through thoughtful action, unwavering integrity, and unshakable self-belief. She shows that real power is not in shouting, but in silencing doubt, fear, and negativity with the calm force of presence. She reminds the world that the most profound impact often comes quietly, steadily, and deliberately, one mindful action at a time. So today, let us remember this. Strength doesn't have to roar. Peace doesn't need permission to be powerful. And a woman who carries strength with silence doesn't need applause to justify her courage. Let your actions speak. Let your calm command respect. Let your silence show your strength. Because in the end, it's not the loudest voice that changes the world. It's the one that speaks with purpose, stands with dignity, and transforms with impact. Thank you.